Hey, it's Cam B from Barbecue Spit Rotisseries, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make bacon. Today's video is all about bacon cures. Now, there's a range of them on the market. The main three we carry is Bulletproof by Pasture. We've got Dr. J's Bacon Cure or Cure All. Today we're going to be using Misty Gully's Maple Bacon Cure. It's one of my favourites. I also really enjoy their Ham Cure. I do that every Christmas. Maybe in another video we'll do that. The main reason I like these is they are borderline idiot proof. Today we're going to do a mixture of either pork belly and pork loin. You can do pretty much anything. I just prefer these two, they're a bit easier to slice. You will have to slice by hand unless you're lucky enough to have a nice big electric slicer. Step one, get your cut. Measure it out just so you know what ratio of cure we're going to need. It is, in the case of the Misty Gully, 40 grams per kilo of pork, so it's not a great deal. So we're coming in about 2 kilos, so gonna need to measure out 80 grams. Okay, so all you've got to do is just rub it evenly on either side, and then we're going to whack it in a Ziploc bag. Good reason for using bags over trays, it just makes life a bit easier, but I'll show you in a sec why. Spread it over. Try and get it into any little nooks and crannies. Now you can always cut the skin off these before you start curing. I find I get a little bit more smoke in it by doing so. Feel free to experiment a bit. I haven't worried with these purely because they're a bit too thin, so by the time I cut it all off there won't be much left. Now you're going to put your pork in a bag, seal it up in the fridge. Every 24 hours you're going to take it out and give it a quick flip for a minimum of 4 days, 4 to 8 days depending on the actual weight of the pork. Okay, so things like your pork belly, it'll be done in 4. Most of this stuff we're done today, 4 to 5 days. Okay, so bacon spent 5 days in the fridge. Okay, flipping every 24 hours just to make sure that that cure runs down to the bottom. Each time we get a nice even cure. Once our bacon's finished its curing process, next step was to pull all the bacon out of the tub, out of the bags, give them a rinse off, and then drop them in some cool, fresh water. We put that back in the fridge for an hour, take it out, change that water over and do it again. If you feel that you've over cured or you want your bacon a little less salty, you can also leave it in overnight, soaking in some fresh water. Step after that is we take it out, dry the skin and leave it exposed in the fridge for another 24 hours, just to help dry the skin out. I don't worry about that step so much, in particular when I've taken the rind off for the smoking process. Okay, now this step is optional. Truth be told, barbecue, half the fun of it is playing around every once in a while. Each time I do a big batch of bacon, I'll pick at least one piece out that I'll whack a rub on just to see how it turns out. I did it with the Boomers one not that long ago, came out really well. I'm keen to try it with the new Porkinator, so we'll give that a crack today. Simple method. Choose your piece, dry it off a bit, okay, because it's obviously just come out of all that water. Rub of choice. Handy little side note with rubs, the little seal they give you that we all have a tendency to chuck out, keep it and whack it back on the jar when you're done. It does actually do a pretty good job of just cutting down on that caking. After you put your rub on, set it aside. I give it a good 30 minutes, usually about the same time it takes me to get my pit up to temperature, and then into the smoker it goes. Get this thing cranking, I'm going to use a good old starter one. Also, flaming coals just speeds up this process quite a bit. I can sit there with a couple of chimneys, but this I can get it cranking 10-15 minutes, away we go. Alright, the smoker today we're sitting at 220 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, usually I do it a bit lower, more like that 180 to 90. We're a bit more pressed for time. I just find a bit lower in temperature, we get a bit more smoke and a bit more of an intense flavour. Again, just play with it, follow the directions, see how you like it and go from there. All right, now our pork's hit 148 degrees Fahrenheit, so now it's just onto a pan into the fridge overnight just to let it cool right down. The fat hardens back up, makes it a lot easier to slice the next day. Pork's all done. I generally like to start by taking the two ends off. It's usually pretty intense flavour. Some people love it. It's not for everyone. It just helps square the whole thing up a bit. Start slicing. You can make it as thick or as thin as you want. A good brisket knife will certainly make it a lot easier. Here we go. And that's how easy it is to make your own smoky bacon at home. Well, there's only one thing left to do. Good.